Meet Yvette Miley, Vice President and Executive Editor of MSNBC. A veteran of NBC Universal for over 20 years, Miley oversees the editorial content of MSNBC's dayside programming. Accomplished and hardworking, she remains committed to providing viewers with quality programs that aim to motivate, inspire, and inform. Find out why she's the boss. Before we can know what it's like to spend a day in your shoes, first we have to know what shoes we're getting into. Shoe game check. Tell me about the shoes that you work in.
Basic black comfortable pumps from an online shoe source. I won't reveal it because I want to make sure that my deliveries come on time.
When did you know that you wanted to work in television?
Growing up in South Florida, I was a little girl that was always looking behind the television, standing behind the television, trying to see how did the little people get into the television set. So I always wanted to be in television. My family made it a rule to watch the nightly news together as a family at 6:30. So I grew up, the appetite for television was always there. So from an early age, I knew I wanted to be in television.
Okay, so tell me, what was your first job in television?
My first job in television actually was at the WPTV in West Palm Beach, Florida. I was an assignment editor. Not the job I desired, but one thing that I've learned, and I learned it early, sometimes you just need to get in the door before you then can find the job that you actually want.
Here you are at this executive position. How did you work your way up?
I think, first of all, understanding that performance is key. A lot of times we have dreams of what we want to be, but we don't do the work to get there. Performance is the measure. It will separate you from others. And performance is one measure, but also image is the other key factor, and exposure. Managing your image, knowing that you are a brand. And your brand is, how are you represented? How do your coworkers view what you do? How do your managers view your work? And understanding that every day you're managing your brand and how you deal with people, how you treat people, and how you perform.
Tell me about your role as the VP and Executive Editor. What does that position entail exactly?
I have the best job in this building. 30 Rock is a big building with a lot of great people in it. I have the best job. My job basically involves making sure that we are on target in terms of what the stories we're covering, that we are focused, that we provoke, needle and provoke people to think, to feel, to act with our programming. If you watch MSNBC and you can leave it indifferent, then we haven't done our jobs. Our job should be to motivate, to inform, to inspire, and to have people feel something. Love or hate it, we should feel something about the content. So my job is editorial content chief. It is also recruiting and hiring and putting good people in the pipeline. It is all those things, both in front of the camera and behind the scenes, making us better in every way possible.
You have so many different programs that you oversee. Tell me about some of them and how you leave your mark on your projects.
Well, I think one thing, and I think I've been here two years, and one of the things that has been a very big part of who I am as a professional is understanding diversity. And I think if anyone, I challenge anyone to take a look at MSNBC from where we were in 2009 and where we are today in terms of diversity, and to tell me that they do not see a change in our faces on camera and our faces behind the scenes. I take diversity very seriously. I think my mark here at MSNBC will be about diversity and making it a diversity game based on quality and not a diversity game based on numbers, the way it used to be in the 70s when people were trying to meet quotas.
So many people look at television and they see the glamorous side of it, you know, the host or the reporter, if you will, but it's the television executive that's making the decisions on what we see.
No, I am a control freak. I will admit it. I am a control freak. And plus I have a face for radio. So I really couldn't have an on-air.
She doesn't have a face for radio.
I couldn't have an on-air job in television. But I always wanted to be the one making the decisions about where the reporter would go and what that reporter would cover and how we would present that in a newscast. So I always wanted to be that person behind the scenes. And I really do believe when you talk to students from different universities, a lot of them, the majority of students, whenever you do a poll as to what discipline or where they're going, most are trying to be on-air reporters. But consider jobs as producers, as writers, as publicists, as members of the marketing team, as editors. There's so many jobs available, so many different opportunities.
Talk about some of the obstacles that you've had to overcome in order to get to this place where you are in your career.
One key obstacle, I think, and maybe, it may be gender specific, or it may be specific to people who look like me. But one of the obstacles I had to overcome initially was thinking that my hard work would speak for me. Hard work does speak for you, but not nearly loud enough. You must learn to speak for yourself, toot your own horn. I was there with my head down early in my career just thinking, the Lord will bless me and someone will see that I do this great work and I will be recognized. It doesn't happen that way a lot of times. It's you being able to manage your exposure. It is you managing your image. It is you stepping away from the computer to network and to build relationships. So me having to step outside of that, because I am by nature a shy person, but to sort of step away from the computer and learn how to build relationships and network with people, that was one of the big obstacles I faced.
I hear so much advice coming from you just naturally, but is there any key piece of advice that you would offer someone who wants to follow in your footsteps and be a television executive?
Be self-aware. Know what you're good at and know where you need work. I think sometimes I encounter a lot of people who lack self-awareness. So I think we must understand the reality and the perception of who we are. So that all stems from being self-aware. And if you're self-aware, you're going to be your own tough critic, but you'll also figure out how to give yourself some constructive feedback to sort of move forward to improve. So maintain a level of self-awareness in everything that you do.
Thank you so much for your time today and giving us some insight into your role here at MSNBC.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of She's the Boss. You can catch other episodes at MadameNoire.com. In the meantime, be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at MadameNoire.